Good morning, good morning, good morning, Grand Rising. Oh boy, so don't know why. God is the reason why. Spirit is the reason why. Intelligence is the reason why I was prompted to make this video. And so I said, you know what? Let me set up the tripod. Let me put the beats on so I can have my hands free and just be able to talk, just be able to connect, and just be able to share. So the apartment is in shambles right now. We are in the midst of moving. So we got the little plant babies still here. You know, gotta take care of the plant babies. Anyway, so I'm actually gonna be uploading this to the YouTube page, to the YouTube channel, because I really want to get back into making more of these videos, sharing very openly, sharing very transparently, sharing intentionally with the purpose of connecting and speaking to those who also want to connect. And so there's going to be a few different things that I cover in this video. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is giving an update for those who have experienced symptoms and side effects from endometriosis. So last year, I started sharing much more about my endometriosis journey. I also started getting back on an antidepressant, an SSRI, and I was on them for about 10 months. So I stopped taking it about a week and 2 days ago. So super grateful, super proud of myself for being willing to receive the help and receive the assistance in that season that I needed it, and also releasing that in this new season. Before I go any further, definitely consult with your doctor if you are on any type of antidepressant or anti-anxiety, or really any medication in general, because you don't know how your body has become dependent upon it. And so you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing by either weaning off of it, or some medications you can just stop taking. So I was on one particular medication for most of the time. And then I went to my OBGYN maybe a little over a month ago, maybe about a month ago. And I felt like the one that I was on plateaued. And so she gave me something new, and it was supposed to like bring out this happiness and this joy, and it did the complete opposite. Now, keep in mind, I had already known in my spirit that once we moved, I was going to be either weaning myself off or just stopping to take the medication altogether. So when she switched my medication, I said, you know what? It's okay. I'm not at the place where I'm ready to completely stop. So let me try this new medication, and we'll see how it works. Well, like I said, it did the complete opposite of making me happy. It made me much more, I do not have a flat affect at all. Yes, I can be quiet. Yes, I can be recluse. And also, like, I am a very passionate person. So for me to not have much of a reaction or a response was very different for me. Now, with that being said, I am also most of the time pretty even keel, and my wife says stoic. So when I got on this medication, I think maybe 2 weeks after being on the medication, Mel and I, we were sitting on this couch actually talking, and she was like, I don't like it. You're not the same. And she wasn't just speaking about the medication that I had been on for 2 or 3 weeks. She was speaking about like the whole journey, which I already knew. And that was one of the reasons when I didn't want to go back on it. The other reason was that I wanted to be able to work through what I was moving through at the time. And hindsight being 2020, I needed it. I needed it for a short amount of time. Every season has a different reason. Every season has a different understanding and development. So fast forward to today, been off of the medication for a week and 2 days. Very, very, very minimal side effects. Actually, today and yesterday, I felt a little chesty, meaning like I could feel a little bit of my body saying, hey, like, where is this medication that you've been used to taking for the past 10 months? Now, keep in mind, for about 9 months, I was taking a different medication. About a month ago, my OBGYN switched it, so I started to take this new medication. I am so grateful and thankful that that switch actually happened, because the second medication was so much easier to get off of than the one that I was on for about 9 months. Because I had tried twice before to get off of that initial medication, and the withdrawal symptoms were absolutely insane. So all of that to say, everything happens for a reason. A week and 2 days not on the medication, have no desire or want or plans to go back on an SSRI. And what I will say also is, this past 10 months of my life has allowed me to learn more about myself. It's allowed me to develop new boundaries. It's allowed me to have more deeper and meaningful conversations with my mom. And something that I found out is that much of her life, she has actually been on an antidepressant. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the first time she started taking one was when she was 21. I didn't know that majority of her adult life, she is on an antidepressant. She's on one now. And I remember 2023, she said, I think I'm ready to get off the medication. Now, all I knew was about 7 years ago, when my grandmother passed away, my mom's mom, she was having a really difficult time, and that she got on an antidepressant. The only other time I knew besides that was when she was still working, and she had this boss that just really was really difficult for her, really difficult for her spirit and her heart and her soul. And so those were the only 2 times that I was aware of. So when as I navigated my own journey this past 10 months of like, wow, I'm going back on an antidepressant. These are the reasons why. Tying it to my endometriosis, because my hormones were like this, and I felt like I was constantly on this emotional and mental roller coaster, and I really wanted to be able to have a semblance of balance. So as I was opening up and sharing more with her about my own personal journey, she then said, well, honey, I think that I've always had a mood disorder. I was like, what? I mean, shocked, like absolutely shocked. And then she shared more. She shared, the reason why she started it, then the reason why throughout most of her life she was on medication. So just staying here for a moment and, tying the 2 things or the 3 things together: endometriosis, medication, and the relationships that we have with our family. This was something that I had no idea that my mom was actually navigating all of her adult life. She said she started taking medication at 21. My mother's going to be 72 this year. 72? Yeah, 72. So that's a long time. 50 plus years on and off of an antidepressant. Now, understanding the body and the chemical makeup and how the body becomes very dependent on medication. Not only the body, but the chemical makeup in your brain. And so being able to share this season of my life with my mom and have her share this information with me, and it was so much more than the medication. It was so much bigger than endometriosis. It was so much bigger than an SSRI. It was so much bigger than mental health and mental health struggles and mental health challenges. It was the deeper part of humanity for me. It was the deeper part of connection for me. And having a full circle moment in this moment, this is why I share. This is why I do my best to be as transparent as possible, because I am someone who, since I was a child, really struggled mentally, really struggled emotionally, really struggled to find my place on this planet. So I'll kind of pivot a little bit, since I brought up the endometriosis and the SSRI and then my mom. So just kind of to wrap that up, the only medication that I'm on for endometriosis and at all is a birth control. I do take a pill every day so that I do not get my period, because for those of you who have endometriosis or know about it, when you actually bleed, it intensifies the endo, and the endometrium tissue just grows and grows and grows, and it becomes much more painful. So if you think you have endometriosis, if you have very, very, very painful periods, if you have irregular periods, if you have a history of cysts and fibroids, if you feel absolutely insane every single month before your period or on it, you could potentially have endometriosis. I didn't know what PMDD was, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it's basically PMS on steroids. So do your research. I'm not at all saying to self-diagnose, and also, there are great things about doctors and technology and medicine. I truly, personally love to take the holistic route with things. I do not like being on medication whatsoever. My wife will attest to that. She has to basically pin me down to take Tylenol or something, which I'm more open to these days, because she reminds me you actually don't have to suffer. Doesn't mean that you're gonna take it every day or every time that you have an ailment. And also, if you need it, it's there for you. So wrapping that portion of this video up with the endometriosis and the SSRI, medication is meant to be for specific reasons and seasons. Now, obviously, if you have something else going on, if you've been diagnosed bipolar, if you've been diagnosed schizophrenic or multiple personalities, then that's something different. However, for me, do I believe I have a mood disorder? I would venture to say yes. And I would also venture to say that all of us have some type of mood disorder. And that's not at all minimizing what I feel like I face and what challenges I have. It's just that if you're a human being on this planet and you don't have some type of fluctuation in your mood or in your emotional beingness, you are not in tune and in touch with what is going on at all. And that's not to say that you need to be chaotic. That's not to say that you need to come from a reactionary standpoint in regards to what's going on this planet. It just means that we are all meant to feel. We are all meant to be in some form of connection and connectivity with ourselves, with the planet, with animals, with plants, with the soil, with nature, and with one another. And a lot of us do this continuously, just move further and further and further and further and further away. And I am not someone that has a lot of people in my life. Do I interact with a lot of people? Absolutely. Do I have a lot of conversations with people? Absolutely. Am I someone that people feel comfortable sharing all of their skeletons with? Absolutely. I have this gift. I have unlimited compassion, unlimited empathy, unlimited space almost to hold for other people. And I'm learning and navigating how to hold that for myself in a loving, kind, compassionate way. So maybe I'll do a part 2 or a part 3. I don't know. I'm already at 14 minutes. I think the other thing that I'll speak about in this video is how my relationship with Mel has evolved. And I don't necessarily just mean in regards to the two of us. I mean in regards to us as individuals as well. I have never, ever, 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 ever been or taken part in a relationship the way that I have with Mel. We are the epitome of iron sharpens iron. We are the epitome of empathy. We are the epitome and the embodiment of communication and compassion and sharing And the ways in which we communicate are mind-blowing. They are miraculous. And again, I don't mean just us as a unit, as a couple, as best friends. I mean the way that our relationship has grown us individually by leaps and bounds. My wife is 10 years older than me, and there are so many aspects that she learns from me, being 10 years younger. And there are so many aspects of life that I learned from her, having 10 more years of experience, as she's been on this planet for 10 years more than I have. I will always speak about our love. I will always come to a place of reflection and resolve within myself to say, you know what? It's not that the previous experiments weren't beautiful and weren't what they were and what they needed to be for that particular moment and season in my life. It's that this was meant to be completely different than anything I had ever experienced. Because it's not just about our experiences. It's about what your heart and soul truly goes after. It's about what your heart and soul truly desires. And you keep going. You keep going no matter what it is. If it's a career, if it's a relationship, if it's you wanting to start a family, if it's, financial freedom, financial literacy, financial wherewithal or responsibility. Maybe it's community that you're seeking. Maybe it's more friendships that you're seeking. Whatever it is, you continue to go after what it is that you desire, because you know that the desires of your heart are the same as God's will. God has placed those desires in your heart. And I'm going to pivot just a moment that I have had conversation with many people that say, do not follow your heart. There's a book that I want you to read. It's called Love is a Fire. I got through half of it before. I'm fully reading it through at this point again in my life. It's absolutely brilliant. It's one of my favorite books, and I know that it will be one of my favorite books. For me, God placed this huge, gigantic heart in my chest. So much so that I have felt throughout my life like, I don't want this heart, because it's felt like so much. It's felt like such a burden, like such a responsibility, like such a hard task to constantly be a part of day in and day out. And I still feel that way at times because I'm human. And also, I absolutely love who I am. I absolutely love certain aspects of who I am. And I just want to remind you that if you're a deep feeler, you were meant to be a deep feeler. If you're phenomenal at math and science, you were meant to be that way. If you're gay, you were meant to be that way. If you're heterosexual, you were meant to be that way. If you were born with the genetic makeup of and the physical makeup of being what society deems a man, and spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you choose to live your life as a woman, then that's what's meant to be. No, God makes no mistakes, and also you are the unique expression and iteration of God. And once you know that, it's not about gender, it's not about sex, it's not about your sexuality, it's not about money, it's not about a career, it's not about accolades, it's not about these titles, it's not about these accomplishments. It's about the embodiment of consciousness. It's about the embodiment of truth and awareness. And there are many things that take place on this planet that I will never understand. And there's a lot of things that I do understand. And so I guess I'm going to stop here because I'm about to be at 20 minutes. I really want to encourage you. There's never a set place in your life where you say, I've gotten here and that's it. I've achieved all that I want to achieve and that's it. If you are breathing, you are meant to be learning. If you are breathing, you are meant to be loving. If you are breathing, you are meant to embody peace and joy and patience. Yesterday I got frustrated, and I got frustrated with myself that I got frustrated. And I had to be reminded, Rachel, you're human. You're meant to get frustrated. And I got frustrated with myself because I got frustrated because I said, oh, it's the medication because I'm not on it anymore, so I don't have this buffer. So the fuck what? So what? I grew accustomed since I was a child, mostly because of my upbringing and my experiences in my childhood, specifically speaking with my father. I grew so accustomed to being hard on myself. I grew so accustomed to being the opposite of being a cheerleader for myself. And so these are all things that I'm continuously unlearning and learning. So I wanted to share, I wanted to be, very open and transparent, and I want to continue to speak about mental health. I want to speak about our physical health. I want to speak about addiction. I want to speak about those days where you're like, I just ain't got it. I just don't have it. So I'm going to continue to do that. I love you guys. If this resonates with you, feel free to comment. Have a beautiful day. Just know that love is right where you are. Peace is where you are. And ultimately, it's your choice. And you got to choose it. And you get to choose it. I love you, family.